Have you ever wondered exactly what options your C5 came with? Now, I'm not talking about the simple things like heads-up display or telescoping steering wheel or even dual climate control. I am talking about the more important things that unfortunately are a little bit harder to determine. Things such as what suspension package did my C5 come with? Or perhaps even more importantly, what gear ratio resides within my rear differential? Sadly, most of you were not fortunate enough to obtain the window sticker that came on your C5 Corvette. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot of really useful and interesting information on this sticker, but truth be told, it really isn't all that great. Don't worry, that was not my C5's original window sticker. I too am one of the unfortunate ones in that my C5 didn't come with its window sticker either. But what if I told you there was a super easy way to find out exactly what options your C5 came with, and it doesn't even entail crawling underneath the front end to look at your suspension package or the rear end to try to check the gear ratio tag. And even better yet, for 99% of us, it won't cost a dime, nor will you even get your fingers dirty. So what exactly is this magic silver bullet? It's called your Service Parts Identification Label, or RPO label sticker for short, and it's located right in your glove box. So guys, I've always wanted to take the time to go through each of the RPO codes that are on the Service Parts Identification sticker, but up until today, I never have. So I thought you might want to tag along as I decipher all of these so that when we're done, you can go through yours as well. And I'll also give you some links to some excellent resources to look these up. So let's get started. So I've taken the time to manually enter all of my RPO codes into this Word document. And when we're done with this little exercise, I'll be sure to leave you all of the links to the sources I found most useful in digging up and understanding these codes. The first one on the list is 1YY07, which simply stands for Sport Coupe Corvette. Base price in 2003 was almost $44,000. And if yours has 1YY37 or 1YY67, that would mean the Z06 Coupe or the convertible. Moving on, AK5 simply stands for Driver and Passenger Side Airbags, which, as far as I know, are federal law, so of course they're standard. Next up is RPO code AQ9, which is a little fancier seat than the base seats that were offered on earlier year C5 Corvettes, but by 2003, the sport seats were the standard. And interestingly enough, AQ9 RPO code also includes IL3, which stands for Interior Trim Level Number 3. Next up is the RPO code BGR, which of course, as a Corvette fan, you know stands for Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is the only plant the C5 Corvettes are made. Moving on to RPO code B84, which is the body side moldings, $150 option, which I've come to learn a lot of you guys tear off and throw away. I happen to like them a lot, and when I was looking for my C5, I was specifically hoping I could find one that also had these moldings. Next up is option code CC3, which is a removable tinted roof panel. I believe this came with the C5 because you do need a roof to go with your C5, but I also saw where it was a $1,250 option, which I'm a little confused about, because you could also get RPO code C2L, which included a second body colored roof panel. CF7 was the RPO code for that second panel, but you could get both of them under the C2L code for an extra $750. If somebody out there can set me straight on this, please leave it in the comments below, because I admittedly am a little confused. Next up is RPO code CJ2, which is for the dual zone HVAC control. In earlier years, it was just one zone that controlled everything, and this was an option. But by 2003, this was standard. Next is RPO code DL5, which is just a decal for Roadside Service Info. Of course, it's standard, but what I want to know is, where is this sticker? I don't know that I've ever seen this before. Maybe it's right in front of my face. If you know where this sticker is, please leave it in the comments below. Next one up is FV1, which is the base suspension for most of the C5 Corvettes. As you may know, the Z51 RPO code is kind of the desirable suspension. It's more of a performance ride. I think it's Stronger spring rates, probably bigger sway bars, and a little bit stronger shocks. As a side note, a lot of people, including myself, have upgraded their shocks to the C6 Z06 shocks because they're actually pretty affordable and they firm up the ride quality significantly. I've had them myself for a couple years and absolutely love it. Next we got FE9, which is the Federal Emissions Certificate. I think this is probably not California emissions, I might be wrong. But anyway, not really that meaningful. Next up is GU6, which is the standard 342 rear axle for the M6 manual transmission. The automatics got GU2, which is 2.73 rear gear-on ratio. I've driven a few of these and it's painfully slow in my humble opinion. Much better is the G90 option, which is the 315 gears, also known as the performance rear axle ratio for automatic transmission equipped C5 Corvettes. Next is the JL9 RPO code, which essentially is just the 4-wheel disc brakes, front and rear. Also includes anti-lock brakes. Next is the K63 110 amp alternator, which I believe is standard. If I'm wrong, leave it in the comments below and straighten me out. And this one might be the easiest RPO code of all. LS1 equals the LS6 engine, and you guessed it, LS6 equals the LS6 engine. I'll leave it to you to decide which one is best for you. MN6, 6-speed manual transmission, a $915 option. I think back in the old days, the automatic transmission was an option, but with the C5 Corvettes, the manual transmission costed a little bit more. There's two codes for this, the MN6 and MM6. They both refer to the 6-speed manual. I really couldn't find much of a difference between these two codes, so I'm just going to lump them together. NF7 is just related to federal emissions. I think it stands for non-low emission vehicle. I might be wrong, but either way, this RPO code's not terribly important to us. NK4, leather-wrapped sport steering wheel. Pretty sure there was only one option, so not much to talk about there. QF5, the RPO code for the polished aluminum wheels. When I bought my C5, these were a must-have for me. SLM just stands for Dealer Stock Order Processing Code. Most C5s, I believe, have this code. It's just one that a dealer would have ordered so that he has some on stock for people to hopefully buy, impulse decisions. SLL indicates a customer actually selected the options and the colors and placed the order that way. These three are for radio, so we've got the UN0 for the single compact disc in the radio. UZ6 is the 6-speaker system, which most of us have. Mine has Bose listed on it. I think depending on the year, it may or may not have had the Bose license logo. And UV7 just means we've got the antenna for the radio in the rear window. Then we've got our RPO codes for instrument clusters, U52 for Corvettes that ended up in the United States, and U19 for Corvettes that were sent to Canada, and small numbers to other countries, I believe. VM3 and V73 are just two more labels. I'm not terribly concerned about what those are about, but again, if you have more information that's interesting, please leave a comment below. XGG and YGH are simply the front and rear tires for the C5, the ones we ditch right away because they're extended mobility tires. This next one is a pretty big deal. It's Preferred Equipment Group 1SB, and in 2003, I believe the package was $1,200, which is a lot of money. But for that, you got AAB, which is a memory package for the mirror, seat, heat, radio, and AC. You got exterior mirrors that were, of course, remote control, but they're also heated and light sensitive. I guess I didn't know they were heated. I don't drive mine in the winter. You also got an inside mirror that was light sensitive. I think we all probably are aware of that. The steering column was telescoping and tilt, which is kind of cool. Heads-up display, which, as I've already disclosed, I don't tend to use. I want to use it, I just don't for some reason. And then lastly, T82, which is the headlight control auto on and off, and Twilight Sentinel. And that's an area I probably need to explore and see if I'm making the most of on my C5. This next group I'm just going to lump together. It's interior RPO codes, this 19I and 193. 41U, I believe, is the black exterior paint code. I'm not positive, but the BCCC, I think that's base coat, clear coat for the exterior paint. And U8555, I think, is touch-up paint for the black C5, because that's the only thing I could really find on the interweb with that code. And then lastly, there is a code on the RPO sticker that I searched more than anything else. I couldn't find. It's this FKKH3D. I know I've asked you guys for some help in this video, but this is one that I'm really stumped, and it's got to mean something. So if you know what this code is, please leave it in the comments below. Guys, I know this video has been a little different than we're used to doing on the channel. It's just something I wanted to do. I thought you might want to do the same thing for your Corvette on a winter day here. Here's some of the resources I use. So Corv Sport, this is their model guide. Corv Sport again, they've got a RPO code and order guide, very useful. DecoderPO.com, that was useful. Dino's Corvette Salvage, put your code in here and search, or even search by if you're looking for seats or steering wheel or whatever, that'll oftentimes come up. Corvette Action Center, of course, is an excellent resource. And my favorite of all, CorvetteForum.com. All kinds of old threads you can research. If you've got a question, chances are somebody's already asked it before and put a lot of time and energy into coming up with a thoughtful, comprehensive answer. So guys, I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the thumbs up below so YouTube knows to share this with the Corvette community. And as always, thanks for watching.